Whatever field that you choose the highest pinnacle you can go in that field and write that down. Like schools always want to feel important. Right?
That's true.
Because they're giving you money.
I'm thinking back and I'm like, what did I write to my statements of purpose? Because it felt like
you're well qualified teachers and exceptional resources. No.
Right. It has
anything that will get your reader to continue reading your SOP is what you want to do in your introduction. SOP entails a lot. An important part of the SOP is the fit.
But I'll be on it always and better.
Good to have you back, because the last time I had you on my channel, and for the people watching, I have a video on my YouTube channel where she shared her journey into PhD. So I'll put the link to that video in the description box so you can watch it if you're interested in getting into a PhD program. But last time I had you here, I remember you mentioned that you had worked on your exam into Canadian. Like, how does it feel after that?
It feels good. I passed.
okay. Like, we have to celebrate that. You never told me, but anyways, we have to celebrate that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So how has it been? 3 years in PhD.
Yep. Yeah, almost there.
Almost there. Like, I'm so excited for us to get into today's conversation. So I'm going to give us to introduce yourself, and then we would set the ball rolling. So over to you.
Sounds good. It's really good to be back on your channel. Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Ophelia Koto. I'm a third-year PhD candidate at Brandeis University, and I'm just happy to be here again.
3 years in PhD. So if you're interested in PhD, like I mentioned earlier, I have a video on my YouTube channel where she shared her journey into PhD. I'll post the link to that video in the description box so you can also check it out. Let's get into today's video. The main reason for today's video is for you to take us through like statement of purpose, as other people know as SOP, because I know you help people edit SOPs like for both masters and like PhD programs. Like, take us through what exactly is a statement of purpose.
That is a very good question, Hattie. I think over the years, I have worked with a lot of people on at least one, in writing my own statement of purposes, and two, in like trying to guide people and also edit their SOPs for them.
Okay.
I think an SOP is a document that is, I wouldn't say it's really an extension of your resume. It is more than that, because it really tells an admissions committee who you are. Right. It tells them about your experiences. It tells them about how you are a fit for their school. It tells them about how their school is going to help you accomplish your goals.
Okay.
Right. So an SOP, I think, is one of the pivotal documents in your graduate school application.
Okay. So now that you have mentioned that this is like solely based on your personal experience and then experiences of other people that you've helped to even like submit SOPs for applications to gain admissions, what does this entail?
The SOP entails a lot.
Okay.
But every part of it is very important. So in this video, I'm going to try to go through the step by step that I have refined when I'm writing an SOP or editing someone's SOP for them. But before I even start, one of the things that I want to say first is that an important part of the SOP is the fit. Fit as in FIT.
Okay.
Right. So, for example, if you are applying to a school, say a PhD in biochemistry, and your background is really not in biochemistry, it's going to be hard for you to be a fit for the school. Or say you are applying for a PhD in math, but you want to focus on maybe simulations.
Okay.
And then you are applying to a school and there's no faculty that focuses on simulations. It's going to be really hard for you to get into the school. So the first thing that I would say is that before you even start your SOP, you really need to do your research on the school that you want to go to see if it's a fit for your experiences and if they are a fit for you as well. So this is the thing this like the foundation work that needs to be done, finding a right fit for you. Else you can write the most perfect, excellent SOP and you still not get in. The fit is very important.
Okay.
So today I have my computer here because there are some, I would like to read some parts as I go through the steps so that like your viewers can get a better understanding of what I'm
Sure.
trying to do or what you're trying to talk about today.
Right.
All right. So the first part of every SOP, of course, is the introduction. The introduction is like the hook of the document. It's like when you are reading a story or an article, if the introduction is not catchy, like your readers will not really want to
Right.
continue. And you don't want that. You want the admissions committee to continue reading your document. So your introduction, which is the first part, is very important. It's very pivotal. So sometimes I advise people that when you're studying your SOP for your introduction, you can start with like a story of yourself. You can even start with like a quote, right?
Okay.
Anything that will be catchy to your reader. I will read an example here that I have of
Okay.
someone's SOP that I edited years back. So the person started like this. I would like to be considered for the Master of Information Systems program at that to enable me fulfill my future goals. My name is Dat and I'm from West Africa. I graduated in May 2020 with a bachelor's in information systems and a minor in computer science. And then the story started. 4 years ago, as I was growing up in Ivory Coast, I could not imagine myself pursuing education abroad, especially in the United States, because of my limited resources. However, I had one thing, a dream. In fact, growing up, students in my hometown did not have access to the most technological tools except for calculators and printers.
Okay.
It was I was always curious about technology, especially coding, and my curiosity ignited in me a passion to pursue IT. So right there and then we were
Right.
like, oh my god, like
Okay.
I want to continue reading
Right.
this, right?
That's true. Because like that was the only thing that was running through my mind. I really want to continue reading and know what exactly this person is saying.
Exactly.
Right.
And notice how the person like weaved in their name and even what they studied before even adding that story. Or even with this, you can choose not even to mention your name then. You can just write the story, write the code. Anything that will get your reader to continue reading your SOP is what you want to do in your introduction.
That's very interesting because I feel some SOPs that I've seen just go like straight to the point just because you have the notion like, oh, people wouldn't have time to read, so you might as well just hit the nail right on the head. So go straight to the point. But like the example you just read kind of gives me a very different perspective where storytelling is very key when
Exactly.
you're drafting your
Exactly.
statement of purpose. That's very
Exactly.
interesting.
Exactly.
So one, like the introduction must be your hook.
Yep.
You should not go loose or light on your introduction. Like you have to go hard.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The introduction is the hook.
Okay.
Step two is highlighting your education. So here in your education, you want to do multiple things in that paragraph, right?
Okay.
So here you want to highlight the degree that you got. You want to highlight when you got it and what it was in. And if you wrote a thesis, you want to talk about what your thesis was about and what you actually learned from that thesis, right? If you presented at a conference, if you did a lot of presentations, if you won an award, you have to mention all of that in that paragraph. This is because a lot of people are applying to the school. So what makes you stand out?
Right.
What is it? Everybody got a degree. What else did you do? Right? So here you want to really touch on the things that you did apart from just getting a degree. Apart from getting a degree, I presented my thesis at a conference. It puts you a notch higher than your other competitor who did not do that, right? So you really want to touch on awards, even volunteering that you did in school, all in that education paragraph.
Okay. So if I got you right, first step introduction, second step is highlighting your educational experience. And that should include any volunteer work that you did. Interesting.
Exactly. So this is from an SOP that I edited for a friend, and this person is actually at Georgia State University now. While pursuing my undergraduate studies at University of Kwame Nkrumah or University of Ghana, I took courses such as remote sensing, cartography, GIS. I specifically enjoyed GIS because my professor tasked every student to use ArcMap to map out the whole university. After we collected spatial data with our total station machines, I could produce a map that could tell numerous things about the university compared to a regular printed map, right? So here, notice that he mentioned classes that he even took, right? And then after that, he talked about his thesis, stating that his undergraduate thesis was titled that. And then working on that thesis really honed in his research, analytical, and writing skills. So here, this person not just talked about his degree that he got, he talked about his classes, he talked about the work that he did with his thesis, he talked about the fact that he was able to actually map out something that a regular
Right.
map could not do. So here, highlight all the things that you think you got out of your undergraduate degree.
Okay, so I'm not going to lie. Initially, when you said highlight your educational experience in the second point, I thought you were basically just going to talk about, okay, I went to this school, I studied this program, and then that would just be it. But this actually makes much more sense. You're talking about some courses you took and like the research you conducted in that field and how that is going to be beneficial to you in the program you're going to study. Like, this is so interesting.
Yeah.
It's always good to speak to people who have been through this before and get like very much insights, and that's good. I'm not gonna lie. Now, like, I'm interested in wanting to know what goes next. So
Exactly.
on to the next point.
The third paragraph would then be about your experiences, both professional or even volunteer experiences. If you've not had any professional experiences, it can even be here. You can even talk about maybe teaching assistant experiences that you've had, any kind of experience. But I would like to say again, the fit is very important. So even in talking about your classes in your second paragraph, make sure that your classes are aligned with the program that you are trying to get into, right?
Okay.
And then talking about your experiences, choose experiences that are relevant to the program that you're applying to. Say, for example, you're applying for a policy program like public policy. I will choose experiences that are related to like internships with government, with advocacy, right? If I was applying to a STEM program, then I'll choose experiences that really highlight my scientific experiences, my innovation, my thinking, my critical thinking, because that's what is going to make you stand out in that kind of environment. And I think I have another example here about that as when well. When I was writing this, I said something along the lines of during my internship at CRS, I assisted in evaluating gender responsive initiatives, which deepened my interest in policy analysis, right? For example, if it was a STEM person writing this paragraph, the person could say something along the lines of, as a research assistant at my community lab, I contributed to a project on renewable energy by designing simulations in a math lab. So just like an introduction to that paragraph, right? And then you can go on further, and then you can state what you actually what were the results of the work that you did, right? So you can go beyond and say something along the lines of like, so after I learned about all of that policy, I was able to develop a curriculum, and now the district uses that curriculum to educate girls, right? So here you didn't just talk about I did this and this and that, but I did this, and because of that, this happened, right? That is impact right there, right? So that also is next level,
right? Yeah. I'm just honestly, as you're saying those things, I'm just looking at you like, I didn't know like SOPs, like statements of purpose, was really much of like it has to be intentional and be very well detailed.
Yeah.
And wow, that's a lot. But keep going. I'm just telling myself like you're on the third point and I'm already feeling like SOP shouldn't be taken for granted. Like, but like for real though, statements of purpose, I mentioned in one of my previous videos that it should tell a story about yourself, because if you don't have the opportunity to be on an interview, that document that you're submitting is what is going to sell you to the admissions committee. So it's one thing that you need to be very intentional about. And like from what you're saying and from some SOPs that I've seen so far, some people feel like, oh, now we have AI, so I can just key in my details and AI will like drop something. Fine. But then at the end of the day, AI is not going to tell the story like how you would have told the story if you were writing everything for yourself and by yourself. So I think that even if you get some ideas from AI, you should be intentional on like editing it to tailor your program of study. Just like you said, it should fit what you're going to study, and then at the end of the day, have like a very great statement of purpose.
Exactly.
Why?
And then on that note, you can even add in your experiences, something that you struggled with and how you overcame that, right? Like these days when I read an SOP and I see that, I'm just like, wow, that is so neat, right? And so like an example here would be like um during that role, I really struggled with combining multiple things or working on various projects. But then I learned to work under pressure, and because of that, like I became more interested in like say curriculum design or in like innovation. And this is something that I hope to further explore in your graduate program.
Good.
See how you end that paragraph.
Right.
Yeah, because how you end that paragraph really leans into the next paragraph, step 4, which is talking about the school and the program.
Okay.
So step 4 is about the school and the program.
Okay.
This is very important. Like a lot of people brush this paragraph, but I think that is a very important paragraph. So imagine like, Hetty, I come to you and I'm like, I really want money, give me money. And you ask why, and then my why is all about me. You won't give me the money.
Nope.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
because obviously I need a definite reason to give you the money. So okay.
Exactly. Tell me about I didn't tell you something about yourself.
Right.
Exactly. So this is just how that paragraph is as well. Like, let the school feel comforted. Why are you choosing this school? In fact, people go as far as to talk about the city that the school is located in. They talk about some of the alumni. They talk about the things that the school stands for. Honestly, in writing SOP, what I have included in that paragraph most of the time is the mission of the school and how that even aligns with my own personal goals. The location of the school, I'm just like, oh, this school, my school is in Boston, so I'm like, Boston is close to a lot of innovation companies, right? I would like to study at such a center, right? And sometimes I talk about alumni. I'm like, oh, I saw an alumni. One of our school alumni is actually the president of New York University. And I talked about how it will be an honor to study in the same spaces as people like that, right? Just make the school feel pampered. And as you talk about the school, also talk about the program, why you chose that program. What is it about the program? Most of the times, people are just like, you're well qualified teachers and exceptional resources. No.
Right. It has all the sophisticated technology and oh my god, those are like generic responses.
Exactly. But don't make it generic. Focus on certain aspects. Huge applicants.
Right.
I normally tell them to write about specific faculties, right? And this is the thing about American university websites. Everything is on there.
That's true.
Right? And even here, you can also write about specific classes, right?
Yeah, because you can preview and see,
that you're going to take.
Right.
For example, you guys offer this class in quantitative analysis, and I think that like when I take this class, I'm going to learn a lot about how to analyze data in SPSS or in R, whatever you want to write, but just don't write generic things.
That's true. Right. That's actually very important because I remember when I was drafting my SOP and I had somebody read through, the person also highlighted what you just said, that don't focus about what you are going to take out of the school. You should also focus on like what you're bringing on the table and how both are going to work hand in hand to benefit you in like doing the program successfully. So that is very true. But honestly, like I didn't know you had to do much research. Look, you are really educating me right now because I'm like, I'm now thinking back and I'm like, what did I write in my statements of purpose? Because it felt like from everything you said, I'm beginning to like, I didn't write anything. I honestly didn't write anything. Just by the grace of God that I landed by admission. But that's the good part of it. Like, and I said in my previous video, like, the whole study abroad journey is hard, but then it's easy. And I say it's hard because it demands a lot.
Yeah.
And some of the things it demands is, look, statements of purpose, just one document. Look at how much work needs to go in. But then if you're passionate about it, you wouldn't see how much of a challenge is going to be for you. And then that's what makes it easy, because once this is something you want to do, like you've defined your why of wanting to do it, it's very easy for you, and then you're able to like flow through easily to the end. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Very well said. Very well summarized.
I mean.
Yes.
Anyway, so moving on.
To step number 5.
Okay.
So step number 5 is writing about your own goals.
Okay.
Right? And how the school can help you achieve those goals.
Right.
It's like, I feel like schools always want to feel important. Right?
That's true.
Because they're giving you money at the end of the day. So
I agree.
in this paragraph, I normally tell people to dream big, like dream very big. Do you want to be a president? Write it down. Like my long term.
Of course.
Yes. Like I normally break it down like this. So for PhD, I will say, right, my academic goal is to probably produce a lot of research and contribute to the body of knowledge on, like, say, cancer.
Okay.
And then my long-term goal probably will be to be a professor or something.
Okay.
But if you're not a PhD candidate or a PhD applicant, I keep saying student and career, PhD.
Don't worry, we understand, because you're currently in the process, so we get it. But yeah, it's fine.
If you're not a PhD applicant, right, or if you're a master's applicant, you can write about what you want to do in the future. Do you want to be a bank manager? Do you want to be an accountant? Just dream big. Whatever field that you choose the highest pinnacle you can go in that field and write that down. So you can say, my short-term goal is to graduate from this program, get a job, and then in future, like my long-term goal is to actually become a senior manager at a Fortune 500 company, right? And I think that your program can help me achieve these goals, because when I take these classes, when I'm able to study in this city, when I'm able to meet the connections, the people that I'm going to meet, the diversity of your school, it's all going to help me achieve these goals.
Wow.
And step 6, the last step, is just your conclusion. Your conclusion is just like tying everything together, right? So like your conclusion can be something along the finally, like I would like to further reiterate that, like, I'm very interested, very passionate about attending your school. Like I'm very passionate about my future goal as well, and I think your school will help me, achieve these goals, and it will be an honor to study in your school. Just a summary, of everything that you just take one thing that you've said in every paragraph and just summarize it to your conclusion. And there are sometimes when you're writing, there's mistakes that you will not see, like spelling errors. Like imagine reading a statement of purpose and there are so many spelling errors. Like the person who is reading will know that you didn't even take time. You're not like serious about this document. How will you be serious about getting a degree?
That's true.
So just let a lot of people, 2 people is good, look at your work for you, edit it, let them critique you, and also give you feedback just to improve it.
Everything that you said, we've looked at it from the PhD standpoint. How about somebody getting into the master's program? Would that be a little bit different from what you said? Okay.
No, it's actually the same thing. I think that at some of the steps, I specifically say specific things that PhD students should do, but it's basically the same steps. I think I've actually edited a lot of master's SOPs than PhD SOPs, and it's the same exact thing. It's the same processes. Like, and even if you add some of the things that I told the PhD applicants to do as a master's applicant, you will stand out more.
Right. Yeah. That's true. Like you're laying the foundation work so strong. Yeah. But anyway, so like, just to go over the points, the first thing is to
your introduction.
Work on your introduction. So introduction must be your hook. Like I'm emphasizing on that. And then step 2 is educational experiences. So introduction, educational experiences. Step 3 is personal and professional
experiences.
Oh, I'm getting it. Okay.
Yes, you are.
Personal and professional experiences. And then step 4 has to do
with the school
and then the program of study. So that's for step 4. And then we move on to step 5,
which is your personal goals.
Okay, step 5 has to do with my personal goals. And then now step 6 has to do with like conclusion,
Conclusion.
right? So concluding everything. And the most important step, step 7, edits.
Yeah.
Edit your statement of purpose. Edit it yourself and have like 2 or 3 people also go through it, because sometimes because you worked on the document, you might have like constant and consistent oversight on some errors, and that's very, very important. But anyways, I'm so happy we could have this conversation and this discussion. And if you need somebody to edit your statements of purpose, you have to come through me to get to it.
But I'll be on it always, always.